Red Steel. Where do I begin with this game? Well, let's start with the most obvious, the box art. Just look at this thing. That black and red color scheme, the Yakuza, katanas, guns, and that sultry looking lady. Who designed this? A 12-year-old who was forced to watch too many Kitano Takeshi films?
Upon its release, Red Steel garnered mixed reviews, with the official Nintendo magazine giving it a 91% to GameSpot giving it a 5.5 out of 10.
I have to admit, Red Steel was one of the first Wii games I ever played. I remember my 12-year-old self watching the trailer and getting really excited for it.
You should have stuck to hotel coffee shop.
Hey, I'm sold. I mean, the trailer promised us guns, explosions, and fucking sword fighting. How awesome is that? Well, it's been about 10 years, so does this game stand the test of time? Let's not waste any more time and dive right into Red Steel.
Oh, look at these fish, Scott. Aren't they pretty? Did you see the big red one in the center? And the colors on that one, over there.
Oh, this is Red Steel?
No, wait. Look at the one on the left.
So yeah, everybody who's played this game knows how annoying this part is. Really, tell me, do you think a tutorial on how to look at things is necessary? Does the game really think I'm that dense?
Looking at fish. Are you serious? I was promised guns and sword fighting.
Ah, finally, some plot. You play the most original of white American protagonists, Scott Monroe. He never speaks, nor shows his face. And he also recently got engaged to Miyu Sato, the daughter of a powerful Yakuza leader. The game starts, and Scott is on a date to meet his father-in-law for the first time. Yeah, just roll with it.
All your luggage has been transferred to your apartments.
Dad! 話したいことがいっぱいあるの。
落ち着きなさい、我が娘よ。元気だったか？
とても元気よ。
Hello, I come from a long line of bad Japanese stereotypes.
Seriously, was it out of their budget to hire actual Japanese voice actors? You sound like goddamn weeaboos at an anime convention.
But then, disaster, as Miyu and Sato are attacked by an unknown assailant.
What the hell?
Oh my god, Scott! He's dead! He's on!
Oh, alright, here's what actually happens. Scott just gets up as if waking up with a nasty hangover and grabs the nearest gun.
And get used to this, because Scott attracts bullets like a magnet and yet never dies.
This is where we get our first handle on the basic gun mechanics and the main selling point of this game. Motion-controlled gunplay! How awesome is that?
Actually, it's not. This is where the main problems of Red Steel come from. The fact that it's a Wii launch title and motion controls were in their infancy.
During the shooting segments, the pointer seems to flail all about and go everywhere except where you want it. Even with the lowest sensitivity setting, I still find myself constantly wrestling with the controls, shaking the Wiimote just to get the pointer back in alignment. And is it me, or is Scott's arm stricken with rigor mortis? That thing is as stiff as a log! No wonder he's having trouble aiming. Once you find Sato, you're tasked with escorting him out of the building. From here, you encounter Red Steel's other major selling point. Motion-controlled sword fighting! This is the shit that sold the Wii! This is gonna be awesome!
Actually, this is worse than using the gun.
Here, the Wiimote controls your sword, whilst the nunchuck controls a smaller sword intended for parrying and blocking. As you may have guessed, the controls are very imprecise, which is why I find myself just furiously waving the Wiimote around until I win. Or, as I found out it was a lot easier, dodging and swinging the nunchuck until my opponent's sword is broken. Rinse and repeat in every other sword fight. Whilst the sword fighting is a nice change of pace from the gunplay, the controls are very stiff, and these segments only lead to more frustration. I find myself just rushing through them as fast as possible in order to get back to the shooting.
But I digress.
Once you deliver Sato to safety, he is immediately whisked over to his car along with his daughter. And then, one of his bodyguards / henchmen betrays him, and you gotta get him out of there. What ensues is a race against the clock to reach him in time. Shoot the windscreen of the car, and then you fight the driver. You somehow survive the crash without any injury.
Yuichi, that treacherous dog. How could he do this to me?
Now, let's talk about these cutscenes. They appear as you progress through the game's story mode. They're not terrible. I mean, they're terribly written and not well acted, but at least they give some semblance of plot to the game. Plus, they break up the gameplay and allow you to take a break from those jittery controls. There's something about how they're pasted together using still shots and clunky animation that gives them that sort of cheap yet gritty comic book vibe.
But I digress.
So what's the rest of the game like? Well, you gotta rescue your fiancée. You track her down by finding Ryuichi's mistress at a massage parlor. Nothing to say here except more shooting. Only this time, you're gunning down green-suited guys and half-naked men wearing nothing but bath towels. And tell me, what kind of bathhouse stashes guns and body armor in a sauna? Also, there's this guy.
Hey, man. When they told me I'd see some action in this place, I thought they just meant with the girls.
Nothing to see here.
So after that pointless plot detour, you track Ryuichi to a place called Extreme Wheels. Here, you're introduced to more of the same shit, shooting bad guys until the end of the level. Only this time, the sword fights include a fat ass with a baseball bat and some roided dude with a pipe. And how does your dinky little broken sword manage to break a steel pipe?
This game is too unrealistic.
So what happens next? Well, Ryuichi spots you and escapes in a truck with Miyu. So logically, you chase them, which takes you to the next level, the airport, where you shoot through a bunch of airport security.
Madman with a gun enters an airport and nobody stops him. Seriously, where are the fucking cops?
You finally catch up to Ryuichi, who then beats you senselessly. What did you expect?
You guys, you never know when to give up, do ya? I'll let you live for now. Although the pleasure of watching you die would have been exquisite.
Upon arriving back at the safe house, you inform Tony on the situation, and then Tony tells Sato, but look at this! They didn't even translate the Japanese!
Well, to all you non-Japanese speakers, I guess I'll have to add my own subtitles.
親父、言いにくいのですか。ミユ様がルイージとその一味に誘拐されてしまいました。奴らは刀切りを渡せば、ミユ様を自由にするとスコットに言ったそうです。
綾菜どもが動き出したか。トニー、スカットに刀を授けてくれ。刀切りをな。
いや、ですか。
刀切りをスカットに渡してくれたまえ。スカットが刀を持っている限り、ミュウには手を出さんだろう。
おつの通り従います、親父。
You are then given the Mighty MacGuffin, aka
the Katanagiri.
Following a training sequence comes another partially untranslated cutscene.
Tony-san!
Master Sato, what are you?
あの外人に大鳥のところへ行けと伝えてくれ。
What master? 大鳥？
大鳥だ。奴なら助けてくれるはずだ。
And did you know that LA and Tokyo are only 5 kilometers apart from each other? Why did he even take a plane? He could have just jet skied over. Regardless, you're tasked with meeting Otori, Sato's old friend, ally, colleague, comrade, whatever. Simply waltz into his dojo and start sword practice. You impress him somehow, and he agrees to help.
Okay, whatever helps advance the plot, I guess.
Following a brief shooting and sword fighting segment in a nightclub, you meet up with the only other American in this game, Harry.
Thanks for the help, man. You sure know how to handle that sword.
From there, you go to the basement to meet Kajima.
A gaijin with a katana. Now that's a rare sight. You didn't have any trouble getting onto the subway with that thing in your pocket?
Just in case you forgot Scott was a foreigner.
Anyway, this is a rather pivotal moment for the game, as you're finally shown a new game mechanic, the
Deep concentration.
This allows you to briefly stop time and then hit multiple enemies at once, or you can disarm them. It also contributes to a meaningless respect level if you choose to disarm rather than kill.
And here is my main gripe with the game. This makes the game too easy. Now, I'm glad that the game tried something innovative to, mix up the gameplay a bit, but as theory of dominant strategy would dictate, you'll end up abusing this power over and over again because it's the simplest, most effective way of killing enemies. From now on, I'd like you, the viewer, to know how many times I use this power with a pistol in order to achieve superhuman accuracy. It's astounding.
So Harry tracks Ryuichi to his secret hideout, a waste processing plant on some island.
Insert cheap joke about how this game belongs out. No, just cut.
After shooting your way through dudes in hazmat suits, you accidentally end up blowing up the whole facility, making countless people lose their lives off screen and cause millions in damage.
All in the name of vengeance and not getting laid. The power of boners is strong in this one.
You know the situation is serious because you gotta get out of this facility before this pointless clock hits 0!
I say pointless because have you noticed how slow this guy walks?
Whilst the occasional enemy may slow you down for a few seconds, never did I feel any pressure to get to safety in time because the game's timer is calibrated to accommodate your slowness, thus killing the threat of danger and nullifying the tension.
But I digress.
Following that death-defying act of badassery, i.e. walking, you encounter Ryuichi and face him in a sword fight. Finally, your vengeance comes full circle. You get to kill the man responsible for kidnapping your fiancée and killing your soon-to-be father-in-law.
Well, that was anticlimactic. I mean, you don't even get the closure of finishing off the guy causing you all this grief. This is a terrible finish to a terrible game.
Alright, here's what really happens. Ryuichi's shot, and you escape in a helicopter with
Akira Matsubara.
a business associate of Sato. Back at the bar, Matsubara gathers his partners in crime, the Sandokai.
So, what do you suggest, Akira-san?
The only way to bring Tokai down is to regain our standing and use our authority. It means restoring Sato's power in the gangs, starting with each one of you. With your help, Scott, we can force Tokai to negotiate.
In other words, he wants you to single-handedly sort out their shit.
From here, you get a choice in which order you want to play your missions. So, I guess I'll choose this guy first. He wants me to convince a gambling tycoon to join them. And where might we be causing a ruckus this time around? A pachinko parlor, of course, seeing how it's one of the few legal forms of gambling in Japan.
No comment.
Shooting your way through the rather small pachinko parlor and onto the roof, you fight a swordsman who then brings you to the next part of the game. A winter cabin with the giant bunny?
The fuck?
So it turns out you're in some sort of kill house, which turns out to be an indoor ski slope.
This segment is actually kind of cool. For once, it actually feels like some creativity was put into the level design.
This level has all the quirks you'd expect from those weird Japanese game shows. Only difference, it's a game of life or death. This level starts in the ski hall, through a dark storage room which uses darkness and the enemy's masks quite cleverly, back up the ski slope and into an ice-themed area. Following a roller coaster ride through a dark tunnel while shooting explosive bunnies, you enter a dinosaur-themed level where you shoot eggs which contain cartoon Godzillas, and then the level ends with a final showdown against 2 goddamn Power Rangers.
This level is absolute madness, and to tell you the truth, this part was the most fun I've had with the game, if only because of the visuals. I wonder, maybe, just maybe, this latter half of the game is where the developers put the most effort into. Yeah, this is the part where the developers pooled all their resources and made this latter half of the game awesome. Right? Oh, come on!
A boring office building with the same copy-paste enemies from the previous levels? After coming from that rather creative game show level, it's a shame that the game had to return to this uninspiring setting. And you can tell this level had the least amount of effort put into it, because you literally backtrack the same way you came in from to exit the level.
I guess I should take this opportunity to talk about the graphics. As you can see, they suck. But I'm willing to forgive them because of the age of the game and the fact that it's a launch title and the developers were still testing out the hardware. But that's exactly the problem. The hardware limitations and the unfamiliarity with it that acts as a huge detriment to this game.
When you're walking around, the game runs more or less steady depending on the environment. But as soon as you get into a shootout, the frame rate starts to tank, and in a first-person shooter, this is a major detriment as it reduces your reaction time and frustrates you. As for the textures, well, the game isn't going for a photorealistic style, and so the textures look very muddy. I assume this was to reduce the loading times for the stages, and yet the game still runs as smoothly as a train with cinder blocks for wheels.
Oh, but I digress.
Okay, next level. You're in a harbor, shooting your way through a fish market, and then onto a boat. And then you get trapped inside a freezer like a dumbass.
Wait, what happened? Did I get snap frozen? What the fuck? Wait, I think I know what happened. All the plot holes finally caught up to him and knocked him the fuck out.
The gaijin and the sword. Now that's a catch. Tokai was ready to be generous for the Godfather.
Eventually you wake up and have to shoot your way through a bunch of fish carcasses.
Delicious.
Jigsaw! You think I love fish? Come on, try to get back your brain if you dare!
Oh, so that's where the chef from Octodad came from.
Last of the choosable stages. This time, you're in the geisha district rescuing a bunch of geishas. This stage sets itself apart by having you fight a bunch of sword-fighting girls.
Fun fact, did you know that in the 13th century during the Kamakura period, some Japanese noblewomen were known for fighting alongside their male counterparts? I have a history degree. Gotta use it for something, right?
The level ends with a final fight against Mama Sasori, the lady featured on the front cover, as well as some of the loading screens. Now, you'd think that because of this she'd be a more prominent character to the story, but no, she's just another worthless boss fight. Something I neglected to mention was that after each level, you don't go straight back to Harry's bar, but instead, you're taken to Otori's dojo where you can practice your sword fighting. The reason why I haven't discussed them is because they're not mandatory. As soon as you arrive, you can leave. Within these training segments, you learn a new sword technique or combo which grants you more respect points. And what does earning more respect do?
Absolutely nothing.
All they do is contribute to an arbitrary rating system at the end of each level.
But it's not like the game rewards you for getting an A rank or samurai, whatever the fuck that means. Does the game expect you to replay it and get a better rank? Or compete with your friends to see who gets a better score? Man, fuck that, because by the time you're finished with this game, you'd want to move on to something much better. But I digress.